the internet. And the internet wasn't nearly as useful before everybody all around the world was always connected with their mobile phones. AI, and specifically Gen AI, is the same level of a paradigm shift. It will completely reinvent how we interact with technology. So what is generative AI? Generative AI refers to the use of AI to create new content, such as text, images, music, and code, all with a single prompt. Think of it like this. You provide an input, and Gen AI uses advanced reasoning to provide the output. And AI and generative AI are having a transformative impact in education. K-12 and higher education leaders from around the world are developing plans for adopting generative AI within their institutions in a safe, secure, and scalable manner. In addition to the benefits and value it provides students and educators, institutions are also seeing a notable return on investment. In fact, the government and education industries have a mean ROI of $3.42 for every $1 invested, saving on everything from automated IT and business processes to copywriting and more. Today we are excited to officially welcome you to the next era of Gen AI, the Gemini era. Gemini is a significant milestone in the development of AI and in our own mission as a company to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible. And Gemini is built from the ground up for multimodality, reasoning seamlessly across text, images, video, audio, and code. Anything can become anything in the Gemini era. I'll turn it over now to Vivek from our product team, who will share how we're responsibly bringing Gemini to you in education.
Hi everyone, my name is Vivek, and I'm the product manager for Gemini Education. Gemini is your AI-powered assistant for working, teaching, and learning. Let me explain what that means. Gemini can help education leaders and educators like you transform education by speeding up time-consuming tasks so you can focus on what matters.
Elementary school,
It can help you make learning more personal, so you can engage each student with content that's tailored to their needs and interests. It can even inspire creativity, helping you think of fresh ideas and inspiration for new approaches.
Yeah, I am.
For students 18 years and older, Gemini can provide guided support to help them learn confidently, deepen their understanding with in-the-moment assistance, and reinforce their knowledge with practice materials. And importantly, it does all of this while keeping your data private and secure. We're excited to share big news. School communities can soon access Gemini with added data protections completely free of charge. Gemini is Google's standalone generative AI chat experience, which you can access today at gemini.google.com. It will be available to educators and students 18 years and older and included in all Google Workspace for Education editions, free of charge and with added data protections. This means your chats with Gemini are not reviewed by anyone, they're not used to train your AI models, and none of that information is shared with other users or institutions. We know education institutions around the world are eager to try out this new tool, and I'm happy to announce it will be available globally in over 40 languages soon, using 1.0 Pro, Google's versatile large language model made for scaling across a broad range of tasks. Providing a secure Gemini experience free of charge is more than just providing a tool. It's a bridge to a more equitable learning landscape. It's to empower educators and students in higher education to teach and learn more effectively. And it's to prepare for an AI-driven future. Designed in close collaboration with education experts and institutions, we're also bringing Gemini for Google Workspace to education, introducing a new and powerful way of working, teaching, and learning with generative AI. Gemini for Workspace brings Gemini into the Workspace apps you already know and love, like Docs, Gmail, Slides, and more. Gemini for Workspace also provides an upgraded Gemini chat experience using our most capable AI models widely available today, providing insightful and expert responses with the capability to double-check responses with Google Search. Embedding generative AI into the Google Workspace apps can help you write, visualize, organize, and connect more meaningfully. In early testing, we heard from educators that having Gemini seamlessly integrated into the Google Workspace tools that they use every day was game-changing. Whether it's using Gemini in Docs to create a job description, Gemini in Gmail to summarize a long email thread, or Gemini in Sheets to create an agenda for an upcoming professional development session, or Gemini in Slides to create an original image that helps illustrate a topic or bring a presentation to life. Embedding this innovative technology into the tools you're already using can unlock productivity gains like never before. You may find chatting with Gemini at gemini.google.com to be better for brainstorming because its conversational nature means you can use it to easily iterate on ideas. And the ability to easily double-check responses with Google Search with a click of a button makes it great if you're conducting research. Whereas Gemini for Workspace may be better when you're in the flow of working in Workspace apps. In summary, schools can use Gemini free of charge, or upgrade to Gemini for Workspace to get the best of Google's generative AI across Google Workspace for education. Here's a side-by-side comparison. With Gemini for Workspace, you're getting an upgraded model of Gemini, Gemini across your Workspace apps, and enterprise data protections. When trialing Gemini for Workspace with customers, the most common question I get is, but what about my data? And I love being able to respond to that and say, as always, you are in control of your data. Gemini for Workspace is offered under the Google Workspace for Education terms of service for all users 18 years and older. With Gemini for Workspace, your data isn't reviewed by anyone, isn't used to train AI models, or shared with any other users or organizations. Education institutions can add Gemini for Workspace to their existing Workspace for Education edition by purchasing one of the following add-ons. Gemini Education is a lower price offering to help education institutions get started with generative AI in Workspace with a monthly usage limit. Administrators can then understand how people in their institution are engaging with Gemini with usage reports within the admin console. It costs $20 per user per month with an annual commitment. Gemini Education Premium includes everything in Gemini Education, plus additional advanced features like AI-powered note-taking and summaries within Google Meet, AI-enhanced data loss prevention, and more coming soon. This add-on is intended for heavy users of generative AI and provides full access and usage of these tools. It costs $30 per user per month with an annual commitment.
So
To offer you more flexibility,
that guy
we also offer
contacted
monthly
us.
plans,
What's his
which are
name?
$24 per user per
Bobby.
month and $36 per user per month,
There's a
respectively.
leak in
There
the
are
kitchen
no minimum purchase requirements,
by the food
so institutions
disposal.
can buy as few or as many
Which guy
licenses
is it?
as
Yeah.
they need with any existing Workspace for Education edition. And for a limited time, we're offering introductory
leak.
discounts for all
Put in a
education
picture.
customers, making Gemini one of the most
You wanna see it?
cost-effective Gen AI products on the market.
Wow. They do
All
a lot.
customers can get 20% off annual commitments through August 23rd, 2024, while Education Plus customers can get 25% off, again, through August 23rd, 2024 for all annual commitments.
It's next to
That's
disposal.
savings of up to $7 per
it's
user per
plumbing.
month.
Yeah.
To learn more, you can reach out to your Google for Education representative
Right
or
by the
reseller
food
today.
disposal.
So it's not in the food disposal
We
itself.
believe that when it comes to AI, it's more
What?
important than ever to keep educators in the loop. AI is there as a thought partner and a supporter
What should
to
I
help
say?
Then we'll
educators
check it out.
so that they in
Yeah.
turn can help
Yeah.
their students realize their fullest potential. Google partners with schools and educators, as well as other education experts like learning scientists, along the way. We don't just build for educators, we build with them. Through our customer advisory boards and Google for Education's pilot program, we also work directly with school communities around the world to gather feedback on our products and our features before we make them widely available. By listening to their perspectives, understanding how they're using our tools, and addressing their challenges, we can be more thoughtful in our product development and our implementation. Educators
You
are
wanna
and will
contact the
continue to
other
be
guy, or
the
you
heart
wanna
and soul
contact,
of the
what is
education
this doing
experience.
here?
What other guy?
So
Um,
now,
English
let's look at
the-
how
the
education
plumber?
institutions are actually
Let,
using
Who's
let's
that?
see
Gemini
what
for
it is.
workspace.
If it
Okay.
is a plumbing
Gemini
problem,
So
can
when you
empower
wanna
a
go
broad
over
range of people within your school
when
or
we go
university.
over there,
It can help instructional leaders create resources that can
trying
scale
to fix
across
it.
their
So
institution.
fix it
It
outside.
can
I
also
don't
help
need all the
IT
dust.
admins
It's
provide
dirty. I
secure
don't need
and
all the
innovative
dust right
technology
where
for
you
students
eat. You put
and
it
staff.
on the counter.
Or maybe you're an educator and you need help creating captivating learning experiences. Or some help grant writing. And finally, if you're a university student over the age of 18, Gemini can be your always-on support to help deepen your understanding of certain topics, provide more customized practice materials, or even give you initial feedback on your work. One of the amazing things about Gemini is its versatility and breadth of use cases. Let's dig into the top ways
Are you
education
learning anything
institutions
from
are
this
using Gemini to help transform
No.
education
They're
today.
trying to sell it?
They're giving
First up,
it, if
let's
you
take a
have
look
that
at how
Google
Gemini can support
workspace,
instructional
you
leaders,
can
such
go
as professional
to
development directors, curriculum specialists,
gemini.google.com.
or instructional coaches.
Hi, I'm Arjun. I work as an instructional coach. I struggle to get some of my regular to-dos done in the limited amount of time I have, so I was excited to learn about Gemini. Using Gemini, I've had a much easier time doing things like creating lesson plan templates, professional development presentations, and even researching the latest methodologies for delivering student feedback. First, I'm going to create a lesson plan template in Google Docs. Gemini quickly generates a draft that includes objectives, steps to follow, and even ways to adapt the material for students who are new to the topic and advanced learners. I can also easily distribute content I create with Gemini to educators in my district by uploading it to a shareable class template in Google Classroom. After finishing the lesson plan, I'm going to use Gemini in Sheets to create an agenda for a professional development session. It instantly creates an hour-by-hour agenda with session titles, descriptions, and presenters. I'm going to make a few tweaks to this plan, but the majority of what I need is here. Now for this next one, Gemini is really helpful because I don't have any experience with design, and I want to spread the word about my institution's new science program. I can simply tell Gemini the kind of image I'm looking for, and it will instantly generate original materials for me to choose from. I love that Gemini offers 3 totally different styles with these options. I select the one I like best for my presentation. Gemini is your AI-powered assistant for education. Explore all the ways Gemini can help you.
I know instructional leaders are often creating resources that scale across an entire institution or school system. So helping them be more productive can elevate so many other educators too. In early testing, we also heard from a number of IT admins that they found Gemini really helpful in improving their productivity. Let's take a look at some of the ways Gemini can support those of you who may be IT leaders and are focused on providing secure and innovative technology for your students and staff.
Hi, I'm Yasmin. I run the IT department at a high school. I'm always looking for tools to help me work more efficiently. Lately, I've been using Gemini for tasks on my to-do list, like creating proposals, drafting schedules, and writing emails. And it's been an incredible time saver. Just now, I used Gemini to research new security capabilities and draft a proposal to my CTO. I can see key benefits of the recommendations, an implementation plan, and budget considerations. I'm really pleased with how thorough this proposal is. And actually, this reminds me that I need to draft a schedule to roll out 2-step verification this year. I'm going to have Gemini and Sheets help me do that. Amazing! It's given me a nicely formatted table with key steps in my rollout plan. Let's just make a few minor tweaks and then we're good to go. Okay, now I'm going to use Gemini and Gmail to help me write an email to the board to review these recommendations. I used to spend so much time drafting school-related emails, and Gemini has made it so much faster. Great! This clearly outlines everything I asked for and would have taken me so much longer to do on my own. It even left a few places where I can personalize the email. Last on my to-do today is drafting a job description for a new role on my team. I'm going to use Gemini and Docs to help me get started. It's given me a nice summary, a breakdown of responsibilities and key qualifications, and it's nicely formatted for a job posting. I'll make a few tweaks, but it was so much more efficient editing this write-up than starting from scratch. Gemini is your AI-powered assistant for education. Explore all the ways Gemini can help you.
Alright, now let's switch gears a bit and focus on higher education. Higher education institutions have a lot of people with different types of roles and needs, from a university president who sends out frequent communications, to a college researcher who's often applying for grants, and to students who are working hard to explore their interests and prepare for their first jobs. Let's see how Gemini can help.
Gemini is an incredible time saver for people working in a variety of roles in higher education. Let's take Simon, for example. He's the director of alumni engagement at a university. He's looking to streamline his team's communication efforts. He asked Gemini to help him create a template for people on his team to reach out to alumni. The template organizes different volunteer opportunities in an easy-to-read format. Simon reviews all the details for accuracy and adds one more way alumni can volunteer before sending this to his team. Akari is getting ready to retire from her role as university president. She asked Gemini for help with her communications plan. Just like Simon's template, Akari's communications plan is highly detailed and organized, including key messages, communication channels, a timeline, and how they'll evaluate the success of the plan. Akari will make some adjustments to the key messages and timeline and make sure all the information looks good before sending this out. Selena is a neuroscience professor at a university, and she just remembered the grant she promised to give her grad students is tomorrow morning. She uses Gemini to quickly pull together an outline for a presentation for class the next day. Now Selena has bullet points for every slide and accompanying speaker notes to quickly build her presentation. She'll carefully review everything in here and supplement with information she'd like to include that's specific to this group. Ivan heads up the athletic department at his university. He gets hundreds of emails a day and finds it difficult to keep up with his inbox. So he asks Gemini to help summarize the thread and provide a suggested reply with next steps. Gemini does a nice job summarizing the thread. It can also help Ivan refine his message. He wants it to be more formal since he's sending it to his boss. So he asks Gemini to formalize it for him. It synthesizes this year's program analysis into actionable takeaways. Ivan reviews the message to make sure it all looks good before sending it off. Finally, Kenza is in her first year at university, and she is studying for an upcoming physics exam. She uses Gemini to get guided support so she can learn confidently. Gemini succinctly explains the concept of entropy in thermodynamics and provides 3 real-world examples in response to Kenza's request. Gemini is your AI-powered assistant for education. Explore all the ways Gemini can help you.
Alright, last but not least, for all the educators joining us today, we know how hard you all work every single day, and how much you care about the success of your students. We really think Gemini can be a helpful tool to alleviate your workloads, while also empowering you to create captivating learning experiences for your students. Let's take a look at a few examples.
Hi, I'm Regina. I'm a high school English teacher, and I'm always looking for ways to save time with tasks so that I can focus on really personalizing the learning experience for my students. Today, I'm writing a recommendation letter. I've already jotted down some notes in Google Docs about one of my students, and I'm going to use Gemini to help with the rest. I love that Gemini can interpret my notes about Diego to draft this very personalized letter. I'll add more to this letter to make sure it fully represents Diego, but It's so helpful to have this draft as a starting point. Another way I've been using Gemini to save time is drafting feedback on student work. I'm going to use it now for a poetry assignment. This process has helped me feel less stressed and more on top of my work. I love the specificity in here, highlighting examples of what's working well, such as my students' sense of historical awareness, as well as areas where the point can be refined. This feedback also synthesizes overall areas for improvement and offers suggestions for ways my student can develop his skills. I'll add a few other things you should think about before sending this back to my student. It's important to remember the educator should always be in the loop, especially with AI-generated feedback. Gemini is your AI-powered assistant for education. Explore all the ways Gemini can help you.
One of the most powerful aspects of Gemini is how versatile it is. While these were great examples, they're just scratching the surface of how Gemini for Workspace can help transform how you work, teach, and learn. As AI continues to evolve, we know providing the tools isn't enough. It's also important to prepare your faculty, your staff, and students with AI literacy. We have 3 great resources to get you and your team started. The first is a guide highlighting some popular ways education institutions are already using Gemini for Google Workspace. I think you and your teams will find it immensely valuable.
Did you look at
We also
the
recently
kitchen
launched
there on
a
the
new
other
training
side?
course
Yeah.
in our Teacher Center
How
on
does it
Gemini
look?
for Google
Full
Workspace.
of
It's a
thermal.
great way for education
Unbelievable,
professionals to
nothing
learn how to
is-
use Gemini to boost their productivity and enhance their work. The best part is you'll receive a badge upon completion of the
Close the
course.
vents there?
Check it out at the link shown here today.
Did you clean it?
Lastly,
Did you
we've
clean
got
it?
a new
I do
website
that all
at
vacuum before.
goo.gle/gemini-edu, where you can learn
So,
more
so
and
this
some
is it.
frequently
It's
asked
very
questions.
chitré.
And if
It's
you're
just kinda
interested
like
in purchasing
you
a Gemini
can use
education
it to
add-on,
write
there's a
letters
form
and-
Said
for
before
you to
that
contact
if you
the
have
Google for
a
Education sales
workspace,
representative.
That if you have a work
Okay,
education
we know that you may
workspace,
have a
you can
lot of
get
questions.
a
So next
Gemini
up, Stephen will come back
1.0, but I
and join
think we
us
have
and
it
we'll do a
already.
live
If you just
Q&A.
go,
so
we
there's
have
We'll
it.
do our best
nothing,
to get
basically
as
nothing
many of
to
your
it.
questions
No.
as we can, and we'll follow up with those
Just
who we
bullshit.
didn't address live.
bullshit, but leave it to
As a
the end.
reminder, please
Man.
post your questions using the Google form link shown on the screen.
It says you go to
Not through the chat.
gemini.google.com, but we have
We
it
will be
already.
monitoring your form submissions
what I
as they
mean?
come in.
Mm.
And with that, let's get started.
What are they gonna show? Is that it? Oh, here.
Thanks, Vivek, for sharing all those updates with us, and we'll transition into questions. I'd be remiss, after all those great features that you were mentioning, which one are you most excited about?
Ooh, that's a tough question to start this. I think we have so many amazing
But
things.
they don't give
What I'm
the
personally most excited about
1.5 one,
is
you
something
know?
that we actually just announced and released to alpha last week, which is called SidePanel. SidePanel is a Gemini feature that integrates across all the product surfaces. So whether you're in Drive, you're in Gmail, no matter where you are, you can use SidePanel to retrieve information that's relevant for the work that you're trying to do. And so that's something that I'm truly excited about and hoping everyone can try it out soon.
I'm excited for that. So let me make sure I got it right. If I have a project that I've got Google Docs files, a Drive folder, emails, say it's a project for that, and I go into SidePanel and type in, summarize the main takeaways of project for that, it'll go across all those different workspace products and give me some answers there.
Exactly. It saves you so much time.
Fantastic. Well, I'm excited to use it too. We'll jump into some questions from all of you. We'll start with one from Chris. When can we expect Gemini to be available for students under 18? It sounds like a lot of people have this question in the chat. So Vivek, what's the answer?
Great question. And I know this is top of mind for a lot of folks. At Google, we're taking a bold but responsible approach. And for that means making sure that administrators, education leaders, and all the other folks have both transparency and control before we start releasing Gemini features to students under 18. It's really crucial that all the decision makers and all the guardians, everyone has some visibility and a little bit of control in order to make sure that this new, really cutting-edge technology is safe and used responsibly with students.
That makes sense. Thanks, Vivek. Another one for you from Christina. What are the main differences between Gemini Education and Gemini Enterprise? And if they had already purchased Gemini Enterprise, what are their options for moving over?
Great question, Christina. Gemini Education is offered under the Workspace for Education terms of service. This is a little different than the Gemini Enterprise add-on, which is the workspace terms of service. If you have purchased the Gemini Enterprise add-on, for the next month, we're offering a migration process so that you can transfer over to any of the Gemini Education add-ons and make sure that you're with the workspace for education terms of service forward.
That's great to see if there's a migration path. From Rupa, how do you see this role of the teachers changing with this technology? And I'm happy to take this one. First, teachers are at the heart of the educational experience, and so I don't think, and nor do any of us believe, that generative AI is going to take over that role in any respects. That said, I know earlier we were discussing things around teacher burnout and all the demands on educators' time, and so I do hope that generative AI and Gemini will help free up some of that administrative work so that educators can spend more time with students and help them on their learning journey. Next question from Andrew, and I'll have this one for you, Vivek. Can you share more about the pricing? Another top question. It seems steep for education, especially smaller schools.
Thanks for the question, Andrew. You know, generative AI is expensive across the industry. And the reason for that is just because it's a cutting-edge technology. The cost associated with creating these models, training them, and serving them is really, really high. And so across the industry, what we're starting to see is we have a lot of discrete point solutions. And by that, I mean, I need some help writing, or I can get some help creating images, or maybe I need some help while I'm in a meeting. And you have solutions for each of these distinct problems, but they are a single solution. And all these single solutions cost anywhere from $10 to $50. And once you start adding in all the different things that the Gemini Education add-on offers, and you start to have a comparison, it would actually cost you around $40 or not, if not more, to get those similar capabilities with outside solutions. So with the Google Gemini Education add-on, we're actually trying to offer a suite of solutions. So no matter what your needs are, Gemini Education can help you with that.
And I like that too, that it's all bundled together and that it's within the workspace products. Probably easier to use in that sense too, especially going to different browsers and different products.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Actually, good tee-in for our next question from John C. What professional development do you provide to educators? And John, I have two thoughts on this. The first is the fact that it is all within Workspace already. So if you're using docs and slides, sheets, Gmail, the idea is hopefully it's a little bit easier to start using Gemini because it's embedded into that experience as opposed to having to go to another site. But secondly, we do have some great courses. One that we've just launched on Gemini in the Workspace experience on our Teacher Center. You can find out more details at goo.gle/gemini-edu. Next question from Joe, and I'll ask you this, Vivek. What are the exact data protections for education accounts using Gemini, specifically the service at gemini.google.com?
Great question, Joe. And I think this is related to the announcement that we just made around additional data protections for all education users for the Gemini product free of charge. And so the data protections there are really threefold. One, we make sure we never have a human reviewer look at the data that's being entered or outputted and use it for training our models. We never use any of the data to improve our large language models. And we also make sure we never share the data with any other users or with other organizations. And the idea and the hope here is that having these data protections enables our customers to feel more comfortable putting in some more sensitive information and working with Gemini as a true thought partner.
That's great. You also mentioned when you were chatting earlier, Vivek, that if you have Gemini Education, there's also additional data protections. What was that?
Great question. So with the free product, it's the additional data protections I just mentioned. Once you get the Gemini Education add-ons, that's under the Workspace for Education terms of service. This includes all the data protections, privacy, compliance, and security measures that are included as part of the rest of our Workspace for Education offerings.
That makes sense. Thank you. From Francesca, if we were an Education Plus district, why do we have to pay for Gemini as an add-on? Does Gemini work without the add-on? I'll tag team with this on you, Vivek, because I know this question has come up before. And I believe that the reason when we were deciding how to launch this is we wanted to give maximum flexibility. And so we recognized that there might be some folks on their generative AI journey that only have fundamentals at this point. And so we wanted to make sure that they had access to a path towards Gemini. And also those that are on Workspace Plus, Education Plus, they could also access Gemini. So it's really about giving maximum flexibility along that journey. Any thoughts from you on that question?
No, I think you answered it perfectly. I would just add, if you are looking to use the Gemini.google.com experience, the chat experience, that is available also for all customers, irrespective of their subscription, available for free of charge, and with the data protections that you mentioned. And then similarly, if you are interested in purchasing the add-on and trying out the cutting-edge integrations of Gemini back into Workspace, the way to do that would be through the add-ons, and that's also available to all customers with all subscriptions. And there's a lot of flexibility, as you mentioned, around the number of licenses, the monthly billing, and so really we're trying to make it available to customers to try it out.
That's a good point. There's no minimum number of licenses you have to buy,
That's right.
which is great. From Elizabeth, will access to Gemini users who are under 18 be restricted by group management or some other way?
Great question, Elizabeth. If you remember, we have age-based access settings within our admin console. So for all Workspace for Education customers, all of our users are designated as under 18 or over 18 through the organizational units, as well as some group management policies. And so by administrators who have already set those policies, we can rely on those signals to ensure that Gemini isn't available to those under 18 users. Great.
From Daniel, do you have plans to introduce administrative tools for Google Workspace admins? For example, we can currently filter out certain sites. Could we restrict certain topics being discussed with Gemini? It actually relates to an earlier question you and I were discussing around what admin capabilities will be available for Gemini and understanding who's using it and how frequently they're using it. So, Vivek, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is it's a tough but good question. I think, as I mentioned earlier, we are still at the very beginning of this generative AI journey. And so I think there's an open question here of what are the right administrative tools that we need and what are the right visibility and controls that we need in order for administrators to feel comfortable with all of the generative AI technology. So what's coming soon are reporting capabilities. I think we already have some within the admin console that lets an administrator see who's using Gemini, how often are they using it, how much quota do they have left if they're on the add-ons. And so through the reporting capabilities, that's step one. And I think as we continue on this journey, we'll start building in additional controls, potentially like certain filters, as administrators need.
That's a great point. And it reverts back to the question, too, the first one that we were talking about, under 18. It's helpful to hear from all of you of what are those sorts of controls and features that we should be thinking about. From Catherine, can Gemini originality reports help plagiarism or detect content generated from AI? I'll take this. A popular question and a tough one, but a pretty simple answer right now, which is no. That originality reports cannot detect plagiarism or content generated from AI. And the reason is that generative AI is creating net new text that ideally doesn't exist anywhere in the world right now. Whereas originality reports comes through the web, 40 million books, and for our Education Plus and teaching and learning customers, it also looks through their corpus of student-submitted work to understand if the content has been used before elsewhere. And so it doesn't currently allow for originality reports to detect Gemini, but we know that the question of academic integrity is one that's top of mind and relates back to the previous question around how do we understand what sites are being accessed. That said, we are thinking about it and how can we create technology to help understand how and when Gemini may have been used. But one thing that's top of mind for us is making sure that there's no false positives. We've heard some of the stories about students being accused of cheating and they weren't. And so we want to ensure that any sort of tools that are released really ensure that there's no bias or false positives that could lead to some problematic situations. Next question from Tim. Why is Gemini Education an add-on versus included in Education Plus? I know that we were talking about this just a little bit earlier, but I'll let you, Vivek, answer this one.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And, I really think, as you mentioned earlier, it goes back to flexibility. And it also goes back to ensuring that everyone has the option to participate in this AI journey. I think everyone is at a different point. There are some of our institutions that are ready to dive in, go all into generative AI. Some are still testing it out. And so having the Gemini Education add-ons as a separate add-on as opposed to part of our core plus subscription helps us manage those journeys separately. And so if you're a customer that's just starting out, you can go ahead and say, hey, I want to try the add-ons, but I only want to give it to 10 of my users. I don't want to have it available to everyone. If I am someone that is really interested and at the edge and always wants to try something new, and maybe I'm an institution that's trying to go all in on AI, then you can get a lot of licenses and start assigning them broadly. But it's to really allow us to manage expectations and to allow customers from different parts of their journey to participate.
You raise a good point on saying, maybe just get it for 10 of your users. I've heard, relating back to the price question earlier, some institutions saying, we're not ready to purchase this for everyone, but maybe let's start with 10 instructional coaches. And to the great demo that was featured earlier, they could share some of those lesson templates out via Classroom to the domains. There's still domain-wide value that you can get from that experience. So I think it's a great point of allowing flexibility and making sure that everyone, based on where they are on their journey, can still access Gemini. From Mohammed, why is Gemini available for under 18 use for consumers, but not in education?
Yeah.
Curious your thoughts.
Great question. I think really it goes back to the idea of all the decision makers and all the folks that we want to have visibility and control within the education institution. And so, especially for some of our larger customers who have many layers of decision makers, it's important that those decision makers have the power to decide how Gemini is rolled out across their students. And so it's really about that visibility, control, and ensuring that everyone at the table actually has a say in how their users are using Gemini. And so that's what we're focusing on, what we're building out.
Makes sense. For Vivek, one more question for you from Akiko. How do I know if my staff is using Gemini for Workspace?
Great question, and one we get often, especially if you are starting on the journey, you purchase, again, a number of licenses and trialing it. You want to know if people are actually using it. How are they using it? How frequently are they using it? And so we really recognize the importance of that. And so within the admin console, we have usage reporting already available. So if you purchased a few licenses and assigned them, you can go ahead and see, are your users accessing Gemini? When was the last time they used it? How much quota do they have left? Are they running out? And so with that visibility, we're hoping that admins also get a better understanding of how their users are interacting with Gemini.
That's great. From Andrew, is there training available for my organization to understand how to use these tools? And similar to the question earlier, yes, there is a great teacher course on our Teacher Center for educators on how to use Gemini in Workspace, and you can access that at goo.gle/gemini-edu. But also we have some great professional development partners and third-party partners that are putting together content around Gemini and how to use it in the educational setting. And we'd recommend that you also engage there. I have a great colleague, Jenny, who manages our relationship with those partners, and we'll be featuring them on our website. From Robbie, when I go to gemini.google.com using my college email right now, I see a message about conversations being processed by human reviewers. Is this data protected? And this might factor into when this is launching, because I know it's coming soon.
Yeah, great question, and good to distinguish that. So currently, Gemini.google.com doesn't have data protections for EDU users. And that's why we're actually really excited about this announcement, that we're able to bring all those data protections to all EDU users, free
What did you
and
do with
paid.
the shoe boxes?
very
Where
soon.
did you put them
We
there?
don't have an exact timeline yet.
No.
I'm excited
I
for
think you
when
put
we're
them
able to share
somewhere,
that
the
soon.
whole box.
So
the
stay
whole-
tuned, Robbie. We're committed to
You know
making
what
it
I mean?
happen. It'll be coming
It just
soon.
straighten up. It was like we put it in a.
Another
it
question
remains
from
in the same
You've
Ed.
got a
box.
lot of tape.
If I
Remember,
purchase
was
Gemini
looking for them in
Education,
the
could I
box
later
from
transition to Gemini Education
From the other side?
Premium?
I don't
And
know
yes,
if I
and
did
that
like
is
that.
possible.
Yeah,
If you
okay,
speak
good. We
with
need to clean
our
up.
sales
We have to
team
spend
or
time
your
doing that.
reseller partner, we can ensure that we can help you out with that.
Actually jump in and add
Yeah.
one more thing there. With the add-ons, it goes back to flexibility. And so if you looked at the availability within those add-ons and what's available in each, you may actually find that some of your users need the premium license, but some of your users just need Gemini Education. And again, going back to this idea of flexibility, you have the option to do both. And so you could say purchase 50 licenses of Gemini Education, assign them to your instructional leaders, but you could also maybe then get another 20, 30, 50 licenses of Gemini Education Premium and say, hey, this is needed for my administrators, or maybe it's needed for my remote teachers, whatever the use case that you see. And so we have that flexibility to mix and match as you need.
That's great. I'm so appreciative that we've been able to think through those educational
So
journeys and
basically, what it is
help schools with and
giving
educational institutions in
schools
higher ed
for
be able to
Kloftis
mix and
to
match
tell
like
you
that.
that this is what you can't use into.
From
If you're
Richard,
in high school, you
are
can
there or will there be
restrict
trial
what
licenses
they're doing, and
available?
you can
To
spy
harass-
We
on
don't
them.
have
harass
trials
them,
currently in
Yeah.
education.
Because somebody
Instead,
said,
what we
why
have
can
made
I
sure
just
is that
not
there's
use the
no
regular
minimum
Google,
requirement. So
Gemini
if you wanted to
Google?
purchase just one license, and we have
So
those
they're
different
trying to
monthly plans
sell.
as well,
You understand?
you're more than welcome to try that
And
out.
we don't
If
have,
there is
what they told me
extenuating
one time is we
circumstances,
don't
you can
have
contact our sales team
education
or one of your
Google
reseller
space. The
partners. We
University
can
of
see if
Miami
there's
didn't
something on the
purchase it.
that we
They
can
went
put
with,
together for you, but
Microsoft.
generally we don't have trials in the educational
understand?
experience, and
But some people
instead
have
we try
Google
to
as
create
an
maximum
email. We have
flexibility on
Microsoft.
purchasing a
You
single
understand?
license.
Outlook. So this is
All
for
right,
teachers.
I think that comes us, we come to the
And
end of
if you're-
time already,
and their
at least for the webinar
education
today, not
Google
hopefully the end of time
is
forever.
that
But I wanna thank you,
The
Vivek, for all of
students
your help
18
and
and under can't
sharing all these
use
great
it. They said,
Gemini
and
updates
somebody
with
said,
us,
a
and thank you
student
all
can
for
use the
tuning in
regular
today.
Gemini.
At Google, as you can tell,
and then
we
saying,
believe
well,
that AI is one
it's
of the
just like
most
the teacher
profound
want, the
technologies that
administrators
humanity's
want to
working on today.
restrict
I'm
them.
really excited to see how it's going to impact education and hopefully give some
So they
people
didn't
time
tell,
back
they
and
told
really
Gunas.
allow us
You
to
understand?
personalize those educational journeys for our students. So appreciate your support, Vivek, and I know that we talked about feedback being important, so any thoughts on that?
As always, we want your feedback. Educator feedback and our customer feedback or user feedback is so important for us. So please reach out to either your Google sales rep or through your reseller or through the form that we're going to drop in the chat link. Please share any questions, concerns, any feedback that you have, and we will take a look through everything. If you have some colleagues that were unable to attend today, we will also share a recording of the webinar, and so you can share that with
When
them
is
as
it
well.
leaking? When it turns
And
on
with
the...
that,
I don't
I
know.
think that's all the time we have. Thank you, and see you next time.
You understand? I
Yeah,
said, well, come and look at it. You know what I
okay,
mean?
yeah.
And he said he didn't, he's also a little weird. He says it's been leaking for a while, but since he didn't pay the rent,
Yeah,
he was embarrassed to tell us.
uh-huh.
Also an idiot, you know, the whole place, you know?
No, I don't know.
Why shouldn't he, what does it have to do with him paying the rent or not? It's leaking, it's leaking. It can cause damage, you know? But
Yeah,
I didn't want to start with him, you know what I mean?
yeah.
I just said, you have the account number, you can put the money in the account,
Uh-huh.
and we'll come by, and he wants somebody to text him before they enter his place.
Uh-huh. And what if he's not there?
If you're taking a
Just to
trip with
let
your
him know.
friends,
Oh,
You understand, before you
Yeah.
go in.
why pay for 4 hotel rooms to stay
Yeah.
apart?
Text him that you're coming,
right.
and that he didn't change any
Hello,
locks.
ladies and gentlemen. My name is Daniel.
So
He
he
didn't
said,
change any what?
locks. The only
Oh.
way, because the top lock, the only way that he doesn't have the key to the top lock,
But he can lock it from the
but he
inside?
can lock it from the inside if he's there.
Yeah, okay.
So he doesn't want somebody coming in because he could possibly be there.
Because he what?
He wants somebody, he doesn't want somebody just to come into his place
Right.
without letting him know.
Gross. So there's a lot of them laying down on the kitchen and everywhere.
The same amount,
In the bathroom, about the same amount. Yeah.
no difference.
A little less maybe.
But not, so what we're doing is not,
You're wearing the t-shirt backwards, the pocket is on your back. It looks like they are swarming around now to find. I did a search on the internet to find what it is. When you have them like that, it means that they are looking
for places to plant themselves.
to set up new communities. And then they shed their wings and start doing other things.
Mishkit.
And they're looking for space that is lit. This is why they go to windows and
Yeah. That kitchen.
yeah, the kitchen and
Did you look
anywhere
in the
that there
bedrooms?
are windows.
Did you look in the bedrooms?
Yes,
And what does it look
and
like?
in the other bathroom also.
The back bedroom?
Yes.
You want to open it? We have to spray that one too.
Yeah.
We probably have to have somebody come in. You know what I mean?
Well, we can keep.
Doesn't look like it helps, does it? Or maybe it helps that it kills some of them.
Yeah, you don't know that they can do a lot better.
Yeah, that's true.
First of all, you have to exhaust what you can do. Another thing I wanted to put some chlorine in the toilet.